Hey guys, welcome to TGS. Today we're going to be looking at adjustable comb guns, how to set them up, posing some questions, some theories, and perhaps, well, helping to do it if you're doing it by yourself at home. Firstly, I should say that having somebody who knows what they're doing to help you set one of these up properly is important. Your mate Bob, who set his own up, might be of help, but more help would be someone who's set up many thousands. I would recommend, anyway. So let's talk first about some of the things we've got to look for before we actually get into it. And before we've got the trusty whiteboard, and unfortunately I don't have a black pen, so we've done it in pink. Firstly is face shape. You can sort of adjust from your face shape where the comb needs to be. The whole point in an adjustable comb is to be able to move this comb up and down and left and right so that your eye looks down the rib, but your face sits on the comb. So someone with a wider jaw is going to need more cast, somebody with lower jaw bones potentially is going to need a slightly different drop, especially depending on eye width and eye height as well. That can make a huge amount of difference. And little basic things that you can sort of observe from a mirror about where you should probably start with your gun fit and an adjustable comb. And then you have your fairly standard shape of face sort of bloke that might just need it up or down, or in fact with someone like this you might almost find the comb actually needs putting into face. So sometimes you need a lot of left hand cast or cast on a comb if you have a skinnier jaw than your eyes. Second is sight picture. Knowing the sight picture you're looking for is really helpful. So setting this up to start with might be slightly different to what you want further down the line. And by that I mean, do you want a bead sat on top? Do you want to see a little bit of rib? Do you want to see a fair bit of rib? Or do you want to see lots of rib? These are really important questions. So knowing what you actually want to achieve from fitting this gun with all these bits is going to be really important. Personally, I'm somewhere between these two. I know lots of people who will be in this kind of bracket, but I like to see a good chunk of rib. I find it very important, actually, for my shooting style. However, flat shooting gun is fine. These are important things. Knowing what you want to achieve and having a look at yourself and having a basic idea of what you want to do is important. So, also worth mentioning is having an adjustable comb can only truly really be used to 100% efficacy if you also have an adjustable pad. If this gun is going to the shoulder pocket correctly every time, then it'll more likely sit in your face every time at two. Those two things are congruous. They do and are important to each other. So having a pad that actually you can move down, left, kink, and actually move into your shoulder pocket is going to help the consistency of mount and help the consistency of where you put your face. Because, for example, this gun, it's about 5 million miles too short for me, but you put it into where it needs to be, realistically that gun could be presented higher as standard. So without jacking this up all the way to its maximum, and then I'm going to be seeing a bit to rib, am I going to achieve a satisfactory fit? Realistically, what I'd like is this moved down half an inch. And now I'm going to try speaking a little slower. So, an adjustable pad is important, really, if we're talking about to achieve the maximum fitment with adjustable hardware as opposed to just having a custom built stock, which is a lot of money by comparison. And the final thing to bear in mind is your face pressure. Do you shoot more openly or do you shoot more aggressively? Building that style is important, and understanding how you mount a gun and how you do that consistently and how you do it and how you want to do it is important. Because if you jack this comb up way too high and then you have an open shooting style, you're going to be seeing a bead up there, you're going to be seeing all the rib. Some people who shoot with sort of a center vision style don't even see the gun, don't even see the rib, and will look over the rib with both eyes looking at the target. So there is some exceptions to this rule entirely. And then before we go any further, pattern test your gun. Pattern testing your gun is really, really vital, especially if you're setting it up like this, because you can get it 90% of the way there, like this, maybe even 95. However, until you've had that guaranteed test on a piece of paper or a bit of steel to find out if that gun is pointing in the right direction, well, that's good. So, without further ado, let's talk about how to do this by yourself. Using a mirror is sort of an age-old thing of checking gun fit, but actually it can be really deceiving. With your eyes 1 or 2 mil off of the line on this gun can be quite devastating at range if you're missing by edges. You want your full center pattern to be where your center of your eye and your center of your point of aim is. So bear in mind that you probably don't have somebody stand across the room from you, and even if they do, they might not have the acuteness of ability to tell whether your eye is indeed, the center of your pupil is indeed on the line or not. This is what we're going to use. Little rodent poo sized dobs of blue tack, and we're going to place these up the center of your rib. I start about 1/3 of the way up, and I'd like to see probably 4, so break it up including your front bead 3 extra little dots. You can do this with a mid bead, but however, the more beads that you have, we can call them beads for the sake of this exercise, the better, really. The size of these grains of rice of blue tack it does vary on how much rib you want to see. The smaller they are, the more of inline that you're going to need it, or the more inline you want it, the smaller your beads need to be. If you want to see a little bit of rib, sort of in this departure, a true rat feces size will be perfect, and actually that'd be ideal. The stickier the blue tack, the better, however not too sticky, because you don't want it sat in your rib. It's also a time like this that actually you'll look down once you put your beads in place, double checking they're all in line, and realise that perhaps your rib has a slight kink in it. Don't be worried if it does. More ribs are slightly skewier than you'd ever realise, and it's probably better that we stop that conversation there, because all of the gun owners associations be like, hey man, that's not fair, there's nothing wrong with my gun, blah 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 blah. This blue tack is not sticky enough. Alright, stickier blue tack the better, that's for damn sure. Degreasing your gun will probably help as well. Right, so the second thing you need is a good source of light and to clip this gun back together. And now what you're looking for is to get these all lined up, so that's going to make sure your eye's in line with the correct amount of rib there, with the correct face pressure. I would say the correct face pressure should not be super tense, but neither should it be super loose. It needs to be in a good consistent spot, just enough pressure to hook yourself in without moving too much. That would be where I'd be at. However, it is a very personal thing. A very personal thing indeed. In terms of cast pressure, you don't want to be putting your face overly into the side, you don't want to be pushing it overly down, it should just be a nice placement. So, first things first, mount the gun. On this, I'm seeing all of this back and 0 rib, so the first thing I'm going to do is lift this up. Something that we really do need to bear in mind over anything is the angle of which you put this comb as well, because you can have it parallel, you can have it aggressively pitched, you can have it, as you see here already, slightly twisted on the cast as well, and that's going to matter very much on the way you put your head on. So if you're putting your head on an angle, that's all right if it's straight. However, you can put your head suddenly very straight because you can kink that comb into your face. So you can really play with your gun mount. Well, you can play with the gun versus yourself. It's really ideal. So first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck in 4 spacers in the front and 5 in the back. Given that I'm going to be looking for a slightly more parallel finish than standard. You can put this on, put a little bit of pressure on it, and just pinch on. There's no need to sort of crank these things up to start with. Right, and remount. All right. So at the moment, I'm now just seeing all of the beads back to back. So all I can see is this rear one. At this point, if I was shooting a completely straight game, I can see nothing down the side. That gun actually on the cast fits me quite well. Could do with maybe just a little notch over. However, height-wise, we're going to move up. So what we're going to do is, because I haven't got any spare spacers, is I'm going to take 3 out of the back and put them in the front. Force it to be parallel. And we're running quite a sizable gap there. Now, alright, now I can see just about the right amount of rib. However, what I can see most definitely is my eye is even more offline. The higher you put it up, generally the more offline you'll be because you're not dropping your head over the gun as much. So the higher up this is, the more relaxed your head is, the more cast you'll generally need, the more height you put on it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this. You have on the Beretta and on most things little memory lines. So if you have a little look, you've got a grid, so you can really count. I'm going to do it 4 notches, and the beauty is they give you the spaces as well, or some will have notch pillars, so that you can get repeatability. So you can have it set up for sporting and skeet and trap, depending on whether you want a slightly different fit for each. Again, when you're starting, and I completely forgot to mention this, and moving the cast over, move both over in line. So try and keep it as parallel to start with until you start getting to the refining stage, okay? So move that over, so we're matching. Right, and that is too much, because now I'm looking down the opposite side. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to move it back 1 notch. Again, this pitch at the back you can really play with. So if you have a little look now, we're just attached to one section. You can move it up, you move it down, you can really have a play. So I've had customers that have had this inverseness, and again, it's all to do with the shape of your cheek and the shape of your jaw. Whereas I quite like to keep the original pitch of the gun if possible, because most of them, for me, actually suit that standard taper. I don't really like shooting a gun that's too parallel. And a lot of that would change massively, A, if this gun was another inch longer, man size, and had an adjustable pad on the back. But those things are something that we don't have here today. So, mount, bang, happily in the world of plenty of rib, and they are in line. So there you have it. It's really quite simple. Obviously a lot simpler when there's somebody who's there to help you, and perhaps we'll be doing a video subsequent to this where we're going to set an adjustable comb up for a customer in a shop, and that actually wouldn't be a bad idea at all. So here we go. Now you pull these off. This is the moment of truth. Pull your magical blue tack off and mount the gun again. And suddenly you have a really nice clear sight playing down the gun. There should be the exact and perfect gun fit. Fingers crossed. However, as I said at the beginning, there's only one way to test, and that is to pattern test it and be happy. Then pay attention. You know, once you've gone and pattern tested it and you've made sure it shoots in the right place, pay attention. Is it hurting at the back of your jaw, the front of your jaw, up, down, low, high, and really have a little look. A comb adjustment is not a cure-all. Some guns generally will just need more cast on, some will need less cast on, even if you have that adjustable comb, to really hit into the fundamentals of gun fit. That mixed with an adjustable comb, adjustable pad, and you can really make a gun fit you quite nicely. But all these adjustments, as I've said, are not a cure-all. They just certainly do help. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Take care. Goodbye. It's been brilliant, and I'll see you next time.